Paul was mentioning about Indian studies. Even for academic purposes, I would say you cannot study what you are referring to as India. I'm not talking about India as a nation, but India as an ethos, what it represents. It's not something that you could study. At the least, you have to soak it in. At the best, you have to dissolve into it. There is no other way to know it. Because it does not represent any particular ideology, it does not represent any particular belief system, it is not a scripture, it is not a particular god. It is a complex amalgamation of a million different doorways through which a human being can attain to his ultimate potential. This is what always the land that was referred to as Bharat has always represented to the world. The political entity of India is a different situation right now, that's different. But this is what it represents. Let me, in a limited time, you can't explore India, but as I said, you could soak it in. It's not something that you understand, it is not something that you grasp, it is just that you have to soak it in, like you breathe. It is not because you understand that you have to take in oxygen and leave out carbon dioxide, your breath is happening. That is just the understanding is a consequence, not the reason why you're breathing. Similarly, this is just like that, because as inhaling oxygen and letting out what we don't want is a certain level of life process. What we're referring to as India is another level of life process. You have to just breathe it in and soak it in. If every cell in your body doesn't take the oxygen, this won't live. It is just like that. If everything within you doesn't take another dimension of life into you, another dimension of life will not be alive in you. Only the physical, the psychological and the emotional will be alive. One will even deny that anything else exists because this is the nature of human experience. Whatever is not in your experience doesn't exist for you. Right now, I don't intend to insult the people who are up there, but right now, let's say right up there's a big gorilla sitting there, just about to pounce on you. You're not aware of it, it does not exist for you. Even if a dinosaur is sitting there, if you are not aware of it, it doesn't exist for you. Similarly, anything that we are not conscious of, it doesn't matter how big a dimension it is, how fundamental a dimension it is, if we are not conscious of it, it will not exist for us in our experience. Our life is essentially what we perceive. And what we perceive right now is fundamentally limited to the five sense organs. What you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, what you touch. This is the life that you know. This is the world that you know. This is the universe which is in your experience. You could believe other things, but they are not a living reality for you. Belief systems can become very strong. What you believe in can become more real than the real in your experience, but that is purely a psychological experience, what you believe in. And if we work hard enough on you, we can make you believe in just about anything. You know that. Right from the day you were born, if I went on telling you, my little finger is God, if I raise this little finger, divine emotions will overflow within you, genuinely, not pretentious. If it is too bad for you, I can dress it up. Just, we have to decorate it a little bit. Then you were willing to believe anything if you are worked upon hard enough, isn't it? So what we believe in is of cultural significance, of geographical significance for certain areas of the world, but it is of no existential consequence. You can believe whatever you want. He was just saying, we have a center in Tennessee. I was speaking in Nashville a few years ago. I was just telling them a joke. In the joke, I referred to God as Him. Immediately a few ladies stood up, said, "Do you believe God is a man?" Whoa, whoa, whoa. I know where it's going. I was only telling you a joke. It doesn't matter, you said Him. Do you believe God is a man? I said, I was only telling you a joke. It doesn't matter. So now there is an argument going around in certain parts of America. Is God a man or a woman? In India, we have no such problems. We have a man god, we have a woman god, we have a cow god, we have an elephant god, we have a monkey, we have a snake, we have flying ones, crawling ones, creeping ones, every kind. Because it's a very wise culture, we foresaw all the future problems that may arise. Who knows? Idi Amin, you heard of Idi Amin, the Uganda man? Idi Amin declared, God is black. I agree with him. If a white man can have a white God, why can't a black man have a black God? This also is a big debate in some of the southern churches. Is God white or black? You've been trying to settle it with elections, but you people do not know whether God is white or black. In India, we know God is brown. Because, God never visited other parts of the world, He only sent His son or messengers. In India, God Himself landed 9 times, you know this? You know, 9 avatars. He landed in India Himself 9 times. Always Indians are very proud of this. To other parts, He sent His son, messenger, whatever. But to India, He Himself came. I keep reminding them, that is because He wanted to do the job hands-on with the Indians. He wouldn't trust His son or messenger. And He came 9 times and failed. Indians are not easy people. They're not easy, not difficult, because they don't have a particular belief to hang on to. For everything they have an argument. You can talk like this, you can talk like this, you can talk from whichever direction. This is not out of confusion, this is because this land opened up a million possibilities. There's no particular way to do it. I think one person who paid the best possible tribute to India was when Mark Twain visited India and spent almost 3 months or so. He said, anything that can ever be done by either by God or man has been done in this land. Now, this is not about a particular geography, this is not about a particular people. When you say East, you're talking about a certain kind of consciousness. There could be Eastern people here, there could be Western people there. Today, East has become synonymous with consciousness, West has become synonymous with material success. Should these two things be opposing each other? Not at all. Evolving human consciousness and living successfully in the world can go together and always been together. You must understand, just about 225 years ago, India was the largest economy on the planet. It amounted for almost 1/3 of the world's economy. For political and other reasons, things have gone bad, that's a different thing. But I'm saying consciousness and living well on the outside need not clash with each other. It has nothing to do with each other. How you're outside and how you're within yourself are not connected. So how you're outside, I will leave it to you. How you want to be on the outside, I will leave it to you. But how you want to be on the inside, if you are given a choice, how you want to be within yourself, would you like to be pleasant or unpleasant? I want to hear that. Okay. Now that you want to be pleasant, what is pleasantness? If you become pleasant in your body, we call this health. If you become very pleasant, we call it pleasure. If you become pleasant in your mind, we call this peace. If you become very pleasant, we call it joy. If you become pleasant in your emotion, we call this love. If you become very pleasant, we call it compassion. If you become pleasant in your very life energies, we call this bliss. If you become very pleasant, we call it ecstasy. This is what you want within yourself, isn't it? No, I'm not interested in all this, I want to go to heaven. Why? Because the advertisements have always said that heaven is a very pleasant place. If from your birth they had told you, God lives in heaven but it's a horrendous place, do you want to go there? No, we will pray from here. We don't want to go there. So whatever you may be doing, whether you go to the temple or to the bar, you're still seeking pleasantness, isn't it? Yes or no? Hello? If your surroundings become pleasant, we call this success. So in what way surroundings being pleasant are opposed to inner pleasantness? Definitely not, they're not against each other. They go very well together. There is no need for people to think, if I have to be pleasant in the inward, I have to… See, generally this impression has come into the world that if you are spiritual, how you determine whether you're spiritual or not is, you don't eat well, you don't dress well, you don't live well, that means you're spiritual. If you do everything badly, you must be spiritual. This image has come because they saw a yogi somewhere sitting blissed out. He never bothered about his clothes, clothes fell apart, and he sat there probably naked, blissed out, simply because he was not concerned, not because he chose to be like that. But now looking at him, lot of people are choosing to be like that. You are just aping him, you're not going to become like him. This happened in 1924. There was a bishop in the Greek Orthodox denomination. Greek Orthodox denominations, generally they believe they are the only real Christians, rest are not. They have their own pope in Istanbul. Istanbul being on the Silk Route, exotic stories from India waft across the Bosphorus very often. So for centuries, these stories have been coming and this person has been longing to go to India and see for himself. He genuinely wants to meet a mystic or a yogi. But being a man of cloth, he could not choose to go. After he was 60, when he was semi-retired, he made it to India and someone took him down to South India. In southern India, When he inquired, somebody told him, you go up this mountain, there is a yogi, he will fulfill the prescription for you, what you're looking for. So our man went up the mountain and as they had indicated, there was a man, a yogi sitting there, eyes closed, blissed out. So he went and they had told him, if you see a yogi, you must prostrate. But he was not built for that. But managed to go down, scraping himself, making noises. Then hearing all this commotion, the yogi opened his eyes and looked and smiled. So immediately the bishop asked, can I ask you a question? The yogi said, by all means. Now the bishop asked a profound question of his life. What is life? This is after 60. You should have asked this question at 8 or at least at 16. What is life? After 60, not bad you're asking some time in your life. The yogi smiled, went into raptures and said, life is like the fragrance of jasmine upon the gentle spring breeze. The bishop looked at him and said, what? Life? Fragrance of jasmine upon the gentle spring breeze? Our teacher told us, life is like a thorn. Once it gets into you, if you sit down it hurts, if you stand up it hurts, if you lie down it hurts. You're saying it is fragrance of jasmine upon gentle spring breeze? The yogi looked at him and said, well, that's his life. Essentially, the experience of life is caused from within. Pain and pleasure happens from within you. Joy and misery happens from within you. Agony and ecstasy happens from within you. Even light and darkness happens from within you. What is light for you is darkness for some other creature, isn't it? What is darkness for them is light for you. It is the way you're responding to the whole thing that it happens to you. So if everything is caused from within you, you're not convinced about this. Okay, do you see me?
Yes.
It's a question. Do you see me?
Yes.
Yes. Use your hands and point out, where am I? Ah, you got it wrong. You know, I'm a mystic from South India. Now this light is falling upon me, reflecting, going through your lenses, inverted image in the retina. Do you know the whole story? So where do you see me right now? Within yourself. Where do you hear me right now? Within yourself. Where have you seen the whole world? Within yourself. Have you experienced anything outside of yourself? Have you? Nothing has ever happened to you outside of yourself. The whole universe has happened only within yourself. The way it happens within you is the way you know it. You don't know it the way it is. You only know it the way it happens within you. It is all caused from within. At least what is happening from within you must happen the way you want it, isn't it? What is happening around you, there are too many people involved. What's happening within you, 100% must happen the way you want it. Your joy and misery, if there is a choice, what's the choice? Your agony and ecstasy, if there is a choice, what is the choice? Pleasantness is the choice, isn't it? So why is it so much unpleasantness is happening in human experience? Because we never took charge of the inner dimension. We believe by fixing the outside, everything is going to be okay. In the last 100, 150 years, with the advent of science and modern technology, we have fixed too many things on the outside. If you fix any more, there won't be a planet left. Yes? Definitely this has brought much convenience and comfort to our lives. In every way, we are the most comfortable generation ever. You agree with me? I know you have series of complaints about how things are not okay, but we are the most comfortable generation ever before on this planet, isn't it so? But we cannot say we are the most joyful generation on the planet, we are the most loving generation on the planet, we are the most blissed out generation on the planet, definitely not. We are complaining like crazy about everything, like never before. This is because we fixed the outside. Comfort and convenience has happened, well-being has not happened. If your interiority was handled by you consciously, you would definitely keep this in a blissful state. So is bliss the goal of life? No. Bliss is a necessary condition for life to flower to its full potential, otherwise it will remain constrained. See, if I happen to meet you when you're very happy, I'm sure you're a wonderful person. Yes or no? But if I happen to meet you when you're frustrated, angry, miserable, you could be a nasty person, isn't it? Yes or no? Is this a fact for everybody? You know, about 20% of our time, resource and energies are spent in the prisons in India, and we also attempted something here in the United States. Now, our programs are mandatory in all the South Indian prisons. People keep telling me, Sadhguru, why are you spending so much time with these criminals? We don't even get to see you, but you're spending time in the prison. I don't see any criminals. What I see is, everybody is in pursuit of their happiness. The man whom you call as a criminal is pursuing his happiness far more vigorously than you. Yes. In pursuit of your happiness, you're willing to stand in a line and get what you want. His longing for his happiness is so high and vigorous, he jumps the line. That's all he's doing, isn't it? Yes or no? The only thing that he is doing is he's jumping the line. What you are willing to wait in the line and get at the end of the month, he wants to grab it in 2 minutes. That makes him a criminal, isn't it? But if you take this further back, if you're in pursuit of happiness, I'm sorry, this is in the constitution. If you're in pursuit of happiness, you're already a criminal, because the moment you're in pursuit of happiness, suppose you're pursuing your happiness this way and I'm pursuing my happiness this way, if both of us meet, out of civility, out of etiquette, you will tell me, please, I will not budge. Then you would like to gently push me and go. I will not budge. You would like to shove me and go. I will not budge. Then of course, you would like to shoot me and go. Yes, if something or somebody is really blocking your pursuit of happiness, you want them to disappear somehow, isn't it? Either with a gun or a magic wand, you want them to go. Yes or no? Yes or no? Divorce or death, you want them to go, isn't it? If somebody is really blocking up your pursuit of happiness, do you want that person to vanish or no? Yes. Now, the essence of pursuing human consciousness is, first thing is to shift your life from being in pursuit of happiness to an expression of joyfulness. How can I be joyful? Have you met my mother-in-law? Did you see my neighbor? Did you meet my boss? I've seen all those people. Too many of them around me all the time. They're all there, but the way you're experiencing your life right now is 100% caused by you. They can only create outside situations, but your inner situation is 100% yours, isn't it? Right now you're sitting here. If you don't like what I'm saying, you can sit here, joke about it and still enjoy it. This way or that way, both ways, you are free either to be pleasant or unpleasant, isn't it? Yes or no? That is true in every situation. It doesn't matter where, whether you're up on the peak or down in the dumps, still what's happening within you is 100% yours. If you take charge of this, then you keep yourself blissful. Now your life becomes an expression of this blissfulness. There is substantial medical and scientific evidence that when you are feeling very pleasant, when you're joyful and blissful, your body and your mind function at its best. Success in the world is essentially determined by how well you can harness this physical body and the prowess of the mind. How successful you are in any sphere of life is essentially determined by this. Most of the time, you don't need an enemy. Self-help is doing great. A lot of people have read self-help books, how to screw up my life. Yes, they can write, they don't need anybody's help. The book also they can write, because they're experts. I want you to just look back and see. How many of you have at least had one 24-hour segment in your life? One single day, where full 24 hours, every moment of it went blissfully, not a moment of anxiety, agitation, irritation, anger, frustration, nothing, simply blissfully 24 hours. Very few people on the whole planet can raise their hands to this. You need to understand this. If one day did not happen the way you wanted, understandable. If not even one day happened the way you wanted, something fundamentally wrong, it's time to look at it, isn't it? Yes? It is time to pay close attention to this life. Why is it happening the way it's happening? Without taking charge of the mechanics of how life is happening within you, you're trying to somehow blunder through the world. If 10 people clap their hands, you're too happy. But that never even lasts for 24 hours at a stretch, isn't it? Yes or no? Other people's recognition, other people's expression of love, other people's gifts, other people's whatever, doesn't even last for 24 hours at a stretch. You went out today, somebody told you, oh, you are the most wonderful person on this planet. And you were floating on cloud, what number? Oh, you do only 9. In South India, we do 11. Whatever number cloud you were floating, and you came home and people at home told you who you really are. It just crashes, isn't it? Highest levels of happiness, have you seen how it crashes just like that? Because what is happening within you, you're trying to cause it with external stimuli all the time. It is time you take charge of this. What you want to do in your life is up to you. This much every human being deserves, that at least your experience of life upon this planet is pleasant. Whether you climb Mount Everest or not, whether you're going to become the richest man in the world or not, at least this much every human being deserves, that your experience of life is pleasant and wonderful, no matter what the hell is happening around you. Yes or no?